They want to know
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
if you have that today.
You already know.
bro.
You already know, bro. The
You
man
got
Moses,
to ask.
baby.
The
The
mimosas.
man Moses. The
Very
man
nice.
Moses, baby.
Hey,
How
brother, what
often
you
do you
got?
drink mimosas, man?
It's a morning drink for like for a Friday morning when I'm on the podcast. Saturday and a Sunday morning.
The brunch.
Yeah, it's a brunch thing. Yeah, yeah,
What's your go-to,
yeah,
man? We're going to the bar because I've only hung out with you a couple of times
yeah, yeah,
drinking. We've hung out in other ways, right? But
yeah, yeah.
we go to a bar. Fernandez is up at the bar ordering his drink. What is it going to be?
I already know.
I'll be a classic Jack and Coke guy. You know,
Okay.
I'll be a classic Jack and Coke
Jack
guy.
and Coke or Jack and Diet?
No, I'm Gentleman Jack and regular Coke.
Okay.
So yeah.
Did you
Gentleman
read
Jack.
the news? Did you read the news that the number one beer in America is no longer Bud Light? 'Cause,
Yeah,
Bud Light
bro.
got canceled a while back.
Yeah,
The number
yeah.
one beer on tap right now is Michelob Ultra.
Oh wow. Michelob Ultra's everywhere, like in commercials and like in being promoted, you know.
Yeah.
Beer for me is Dos Equis. I mean, of course, Dos Equis Modelo. Simple. Pacifico is always out there. You know. What did he put? If you cuss, I will be texting Mike. If you cuss, I will be texting Mike. I'll be careful. What's I don't know that reference, or why is he saying that?
Yeah, we'll get into that in a moment. We'll
Okay.
get into that.
Okay.
Sam coming out asking why pay for Michelob Ultra when water is free. Dude,
I'll
the
be
water,
honest. Yeah.
Coors Light is water. That is
Yeah.
the grossest beer of all time.
No,
Yeah.
Miller Lite's good. That's my jam.
I want to
but you-
continue the alcohol talk.
You know what's
Absolutely.
funny though, man?
Absolutely.
We'll talk about it though. We're ready to go, man. We're ready to roll. So let's get this started, man.
Oh, you
Let me
forgot
go
the
in and-
intro again,
Yeah,
Joe.
no, I gotta
man.
fix that. But you know what? I was gonna tell everybody one thing that I did bring back by popular request here is I brought back the goated grito with the old man. Y'all want
Nice.
to hear that? You got to
The
put in the
OG.
super chat. You
The
know.
OG. The OG.
But you know what? Today we always say it's Friday, and I don't give a damn. But but I got a new one for you guys.
Let's hear it.
Listen to this one.
It's Friday and I'm broke. My check better not be short.
It's Friday, and I'm broke. My check
There you
better not
go.
be short.
And Mike says to that, make more money.
Make more money,
Make
baby. Make more money, baby.
It's the first of the month.
Next week, man. Tuesday. It's the first of the month. So cash your checks and come on.
Yep.
Dude, there's something about that, man. The first of the month. Back in the day, remember? And some people are still living this life, so it just is what it is. Where you'd have like $20 to last you 4 days until payday comes around. Oh, those days, man. Those days, you didn't have credit, you didn't have whatever.
Yeah.
That was
You're trying
brutal,
to stretch it
man.
out. You're trying to stretch it out. You know, you're kind of looking like, well, if this clears, I think I'll be good. You know what I mean? Like, the little tricks like, hey, let me post date something, and then kind of save a little
Post-date.
a little bit. Post date a check, Let me post date my rent check a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Hey, and just like Mike talks about on this show, and I say it too, like, don't get it twisted, man. Again, we've been blessed and fortunate to work our way into a certain position in life, and that's not a brag. That just it is what it is. And so have so many people out there that have came from nothing, and so it's a shout out to everybody that has. But you don't ever forget those days, though. You don't. Days, bro. You really don't. Yeah.
It's funny. I talk to people about their money all the time, because I do finance, and you talk about it, and they get nostalgic about it all, right? They're like, "Oh man, remember how we used to eat this crap at that crappy apartment compared to where we live now?" And it's the evolution. Then you ask them the question, would you ever want to go back to that? And they're like, oh, hell no.
Right.
They think about it fondly.
Yeah.
Oh, hell
But
no.
would they want to go back to that house? Would they want to go back to that apartment? Back to that
You know
budget?
what? Me and my friends do this thing. We call it a penance, right? For the times that you were broke, So sometimes you just break out the old nasty ass beer that you used to drink in high school or college, or you go and break out the bottle of MD 2020. And you're like, man, we got to get a little sip to kind of remember where you came from,
Yeah.
And you're like, damn, we used to drink this shit. It's bad, but
Did y'all ever have that mystery hot pocket where you take it out of the freezer, warm it up? Yeah, you don't know if it's pepperoni, you don't know if it's a breakfast one,
don't know
ham
what
and
it
cheese.
is.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where you look at it and you're like, it's fortunate to be on the other side of that, but it does take time to do that. And for those of you who are listening right now, who are, whether paycheck to paycheck or whatever the case may be, dude, just bust your ass, man. second job, triple job, whatever the case may be, you'll get out, dude. I told Chica the other day that I used to drive Uber. I didn't do it for fun.
What
Why
did
did I
you
do
say?
it?
Yeah.
Because I needed money that day.
Yeah.
You know, it
Mhm.
took a while for my business to get going, and now I'm on the other side where things are very, very, very good. But man, you know, I wasn't born into money. None of us were. It was just one of those
Nope.
things where those who are successful more often than not had to work their way to become successful.
Hey,
And
we got an
but
incoming super chat here from the Drew Show. Thank you, Drew.
Money talk.
Here comes the money.
He's over here says Fernandez. Remember language. CPD dancing. He says Organ Monkey can't have a mean Marine like you talking like a man. So watch the 4 letters. He goes old dirty grito. He wants the
okay,
old dirty
so
grito.
so to catch you up, Fernandez, I kind of
Please, yeah.
I went on a mini rant earlier this
Yep.
week about how we wanted to clean things up a little bit around here,
Mhm,
right?
mhm.
Not saying zero cursing because naturally one will pop out, right? But it's the cursing every other sentence, every other comment or whatever the case would be
Yeah.
that I wanted to get rid of, because I would say over the course of the past 3 months or so, people that I come across who watch the podcast, I ask them what they like and what they don't like about it. And they say, well, we like this and the multiple guests, and we like this, that, and the other, right? Great. I ask, what's the one thing you don't like? And every single one of them says the amount of cursing. Not whether or not you curse or not, it's
Mhm.
the amount of cursing. And the first time I heard it, I was like, well, you just don't get the show, Dan Le Batard show style, right? You just don't get the show. And then the second time I heard it, and then the third time, and then I heard someone say, man, I stopped listening because it was too much. And I kind of took it upon myself to say, I'm going to tone it down a bit. And people got a little bit offended when I said that, you know, it doesn't lend itself to growing the podcast. It really doesn't. They come for the takes. They come for the nostalgia. They come for the pop culture. They come for all that.
Pendejadas.
But yeah, but it's going from rated R to PG-13 is all I'm asking, dude. That's all I'm
Yeah.
asking. I'm not
And
asking.
I'm on this
Yeah.
side of the fence where I'm just like, you know what? If it's curse words, whatever slips out or whatever, that's just how real humans talk.
Oh,
You
I
know?
don't mind if it slips out, dude. I really don't mind
Yeah.
if it
That's
slips
how
out.
real humans talk, you know, just
Oh,
like the
I
Pat McAfee
I
show.
don't mind it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Here comes the money.
Hey, look at Mario Cavazos. He says, so saying fuck has to be organic.
Exactly.
Thank you for that, Mario.
And it
Appreciate
cannot
Yeah.
be the personality. It cannot be the personality. Like
Yeah.
I said, I'm not
Well-
offended. I'm guilty of it myself. What I'm saying is that I'm cleaning it up because we're trying to do, man, Fernandez, is grow this podcast because our viewership, Joe, talk about that viewership yesterday. Our viewership is getting higher and higher and higher. And with more eyes involved, it lends us to higher and bigger possibilities. And it's just
Yeah.
one of the things. Joe,
I
talk
gotta
about the
play
numbers.
I gotta play the grito because Drew Show paid for it.
Oh, let's do it.
The goated grito.
Por presumir a mis amigos les conté que en el amor
There you
Oh,
go. I
I
try to
missed
lower
him
the
so
volume
much.
down just to play.
I
That's
missed him
Yeah.
so much. I know. Don't be wrong. I like the one at the Sitco on Marbach. I like that one. The other one's fine, especially because the dog barks at the end, which
Yeah.
makes it classic. But that old man, because James Pledger hates it so much from San Antonio Sports Star. When we had him on, he goes, "Dude, how long was that grito, dude?" And it was like, he goes, it feels like it's longer and longer every time. But we got Fernandez joining us from San Diego, California. My name is Mike Jimenez, originally from 210. I still consider myself a San Antonio, and I own property in San Antonio, but I bounce back and forth between San Antonio and Conroe. Joe Garcia is there in San Antonio off of Exit 7, actually the Petrenko area. We're talking about the draft. We're talking about the draft. We got to get into Ace Bailey, man. The curious case of Ace Bailey going on right now because that dude may not have a home when it's all said and done. We're going to break down the NBA draft involving the Spurs and what's the next step for this team, right? Where do we go from here? We'll have to get into a lot of just I don't want to say Necio talk, but let's just talk about the fact that there's an NBA player whose girlfriend is threatening him, right? and whether or not, how that pans out. Maybe we'll get into Jeremy Sohan because of that post that was on TikTok last night. It's kind of funny all that's going on, but we're joined by Fernandez. We do have a super chat coming in from the Drew Show.
And Jason Garcia.
Ponying up $10 for Drew Show, $5 for Jason Garcia. Let's start with Jason Garcia.
Here comes the money.
He keeps on saying, Mike, how many times did TSA give you a body cavity search? Mike had a hard time coming back in the States, if you didn't know, Rick.
Yeah. I would say that I've gotten the pat down, and I'm not talking the pat down where they're like just checking your pockets, like where they grab your junk. I've probably had that happen about 20 times in my lifetime.
This last time they took away his passport, bro, and they took it to another room.
Coming back into the country, they took my passport and they walked into another room for 10 minutes while everyone else was going by. Yeah.
Wow.
Now
that's wild.
I had your stubble going on. Less than that, but still, I was stubbly anyway. Very nice.
Mike almost had to come back on the boat from the Dominican Republic, bro.
I know,
man. You know.
Yeah.
I was going to be at the front of the boat like George Washington in that one painting, right?
That's wild.
$10 super chat coming in from Tito saying,
Here comes the money.
There we go.
Cussing every other word never happened. Won't happen. Stop gaslighting. Can you believe these civilians don't know what a captain is, Marine? Drunk gas station Theo shadow boxing. He wants the Citgo guy.
Yeah, and, so real quick,
Citgo guy, we'll give him the Citgo guy. Rick likes this one, dude. This is a harken back to our hood, bro.
Come penas toda la pura verga, se trepan a la verga. Mira.
Gonna throw out his shoulder doing that, as you were saying, Fernandez.
Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Real quick, a couple of shout out. I want to go back to Albert Lopez, Alex Noriega gave me some good morning shout outs. So good morning to them. Appreciate that. I don't know. And I try to catch a show when I can live. I'll usually watch it sometimes later because I'm a little bit busy during the week. I mean, I don't remember cussing being like a crazy issue in this show. I mean, maybe I'm missing something. Like, I agree with the Drew Show. I don't remember it being every other word. I'm fair.
I'm exaggerating a bit.
I know, but I'm talking about who other people who whatever. But as far as I agree. And I'm a Marine. I mean, don't get me wrong. Marines and sailors. You know how we talk, and I get all that. But as a Marine officer, once you get higher up in rank and you're in front of a big group, and I am mindful about cussing and saying things because I don't think that is a proper way to, just explain yourself. Now, like you said and Joe said, it does come organically. Sometimes you're just talking. And I personally, in my life, I feel like I used to cuss a lot when I was younger. I used to cuss literally every other word. I do feel that way. I have over my life and like trying to be mature, I have tried to curtail cussing and I'm not trying to offend anybody, but it's like the most uneducated way for you to get your point across, right? If you're talking to somebody and you start getting upset and you just start cussing, that's a sign of like, okay, you're rattled. You know what I mean? You're little, you can't, you're getting flustered, right? So I don't have a problem with limiting cussing because again, when you talk about sponsors and this show growing and all that kind of stuff, I think it's appropriate. Now, that's not to say to censor anybody. Like you said, if you're talking and it's just happened to come out while you're like, oh man, I'm really passionate about something. Yeah, and so and there's a difference between cussing a person and cussing like if I'm telling you a story. Like, I went over there and this thing was so fucked up versus you blah blah blah. So I get it.
So here's the thing, man. The show is growing. And it is the numbers are growing. Yesterday's show was the second most viewed show ever on YouTube, and we were getting numbers on Twitter and on Facebook yesterday. And there's a momentum building within this, and the momentum that's building, the numbers are there. They're showing it, right? And people are commenting on, we didn't know that you guys existed. Thank God, thank goodness that there's more Spurs talk. Thank goodness that there's more local broadcasting, whatever the case may be. Somehow or another, we're getting more eyes and ears on us right now, and I just want to take advantage of that. That's all that we're talking about. You're wearing your Spurs gear. Joe's wearing your Spurs gear. I should have worn mine, but I got my UTSA Roadrunner, so I am representing San Antonio, the 210.
I'm representing Area 210 because I got my shirt, and You know what, Rick? Yours is on the way too, bro.
Hey, I
And
appreciate that,
Chica,
bro. I need that out here in San Diego. I need to be rocking that out here in Cali. So
You're gonna
and
look
Chica's
puro.
thankful. Chica's thankful because not only do you have the T-shirt, but you now have for women tank tops, and she ordered both of
Ooh.
them yesterday.
Yeah,
okay, I
I
gotta get.
had
I'll
to
get.
do that.
I'll order one for Steph. I'll definitely get on that train.
Look at
I
that.
like
I
that.
had to.
Yeah.
This is the merch, their
Yeah.
store that we have online. So
Yeah,
I
we have our
had to
code
put
top,
in the
right?
tank tops for Chica because she was requesting them
Man,
yesterday.
that area 210 tank top is fire, bro.
It
That's
looks nice.
fire, bro. I need to get. I'm gonna get Steph. I'm gonna get Steph one, and yeah, shout out to Chica for putting that one out there. And hell, why don't we just? I'll pay for an extra one, and we'll give it out to one of the homies' girls or whoever
Yeah.
you want to do, like a raffle or something. Because
So
that's
here's
fire, man. That's
we added
fire.
two
Yeah.
new designs yesterday. So we have the Marbach mop right there and Mike. And Chica says that's disturbing. She goes, put it on a tank and I'll wear it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I love
And
it.
then
I
we
love
have
it.
the one now that says you don't know ball. I put that one in
Mhm,
there because
mhm.
Oh, I like that one. That's a great
Yeah.
one.
they always say that on the show, and we have some of
Yeah.
our catchphrases. Mine, what's his name? Gone.
Yeah.
The Sananto, we have one. We have Mike, make more money. The his face on the dollar bill. Sneaky athletic. FTP. Fuck them picks. Alamo
Yeah.
City Podcast Network shirts. Everybody likes that one for
Hey,
some
it's old
reason
school.
too.
Hey, that's gonna be vintage. That's gonna
That's
be
the
the old
original.
school. That's gonna be the
It's
OG.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
they
and
have
I
some
like the
others.
patches. I like the patches on the side, by the way.
Yeah, they have the
Yeah.
patches on the side of the shirts now. So
Oh yeah, I like that. Yeah.
yeah, you can see it on the left hand side of the sleeve. Like on mine, I have a patch here, right here. It says Alamo City Podcast Network on it.
Oh, that's really cool, man. Yeah, I love details like that. Like these kind of details in different shirts. That like this was from one of the pro shirts, but all those little details kind of like it just feels good on you. So that's a nice touch, Joe. Put in that patch.
Yeah,
Very
so
nice.
there you go. And if you want to, check out the merch store, everybody's like, "Well, where's the link?" It's right there. You're looking at it. QR
Yep.
code in the upper right hand corner of the overlay that we have, where it says "merch now available." Just get your phone out, scan it, and there you go, man. You're off to the races. You can go and buy.
And we're gonna have a Sam Selena super chat. I want to keep that in mind, by the way. So let's hold that one off to the side. Sam, thank you for bringing this up because that's a big deal.
It
We
is.
want to
It
talk about
is.
the fact that Texas State looks to be joining the Pac-12
Yeah,
and how
I
big
saw that
is
right
for
now.
Texas State. Well,
Yeah.
we'll get into that later in the show, but let's hold that one off for a side.
Yeah.
The curious case of Ace Bailey. Okay, so
Yeah.
here's the thing. Here's the thing about Ace Bailey. Drafted 5 overall by the Utah Jazz. He did not work out with Philadelphia. He canceled a workout with them. He canceled a workout with Charlotte. He wanted to go to a particular location, and it appears as though he wanted to go 6. He wanted to go to Washington. He wanted to go play with the Wizards, go play with Alex Sarr, stay on the East Coast.
East
But
Coast.
that all got changed, thrown upside down because he was technically going to be the third player on the draft, right? But then they got BJ Edgecombe instead because they got left at the altar. That being said, he has not shown up to Utah to be with the team, to be presented by the team. Quote unquote, according to ESPN's Brian Windhorst, minimal contact between the camp involving the Utah Jazz and the camp involving Ace Bailey. How do you think this is going to end? Because we're talking about the Ainge family here. Danny Ainge's family here who runs the Utah Jazz. They're old school. They don't play. And I think Ace Bailey doesn't know that. How do you think this is all going to play out, Fernandez?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Dylan Harper's Rutgers running mate, right? Ace Bailey. So we have a little bit of connection there. I guess it kind of reminds me of the Shedeur Sanders situation in a little bit. I mean, I know Shedeur slid in the draft, but I think Ace might have slid with his diva antics. But like you said, Ainge is old school and say, you know what? We're taking you. Like, I don't care that you don't want to come here. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's not about, Mark also says the kid's entitled. Yeah, he seems a little entitled. So I think he wanted to force his way to where he wanted to go. And it's a pretty ballsy move by the Angels to say, nah, we're taking you, right? And you're coming here and you're going to like it. You're going to come to Utah and you're going to like Mormons, So I don't know, man. This is a tough one. This is a game of chicken. And Ace Bailey is young. I don't know who he's represented by. Like, I hope he better be represented by a good firm, because someone like Clutch or something like that, I think would have a better handle on this. I don't think it's going to end well for Arias Ace Bailey.
Yeah.
I think this is just no matter how you slice it, I don't know how well it's going to look for him, man. Like, okay, what if he just like tries to stamp pad and doesn't go to the team and doesn't do no workouts and doesn't do nothing in the summer, and then it's like, damn, well, I got to get paid. Let me go play. I don't see it ending well for Bailey, man. I really don't.
I don't know if you ever saw that interview with Reggie Bush recently. He was talking about how when he got drafted number 2 overall out of USC 2006 NFL draft, that he specifically told the New Orleans Saints, "Don't draft me," but the Saints
Mhm.
drafted him anyway.
Mhm.
And when he had a conversation with Sean Payton, and Reggie Bush went out and said, "I don't want to be there," blah blah blah, and Sean Payton cussed him the f out.
Yeah.
And Reggie Bush said that he got scared. He just
Yeah.
showed up to camp because of it all.
Yeah.
I don't know if it works the same way as David Robinson back in 1987. Famously, when Robinson was drafted by
Mhm.
the Spurs number 1 overall in 87,
Yeah.
there was a 2-year naval commitment. And
Yeah.
back
That's a
then,
different situation, though.
if you sat
Yeah.
out 2 years,
Mhm.
you became a free agent.
Right.
But they owned your rights until then, until the
Sure.
24
Sure.
months
Sure.
elapse.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that still exists. Would Ace Bailey be the kind of guy to say, "Well, I'm just going to sit out for the next 2 years and become a free
That'd be
agent wherever
wild.
I want to go"?
That would be
That'd
wild
be
if he did
wild. That
that.
would be wild. And I'll tell you what, in this day and age of all the endorsements and all the different way, I mean, a lot of these players, and especially like the WNBA players, right? They don't make a lot of money, but they make so much more money, on endorsements and all other stuff, right? So there's a lot of players who make a lot of money, and in every sport, in endorsements, right? And if you have a brand, and as much as this is like backlash, sometimes you turn this into a positive. People love controversy. People love, stuff like that. So if he were to get, some kind of endorsement deal or some kind of, it's just like with the college with NIL and all that, if he can make money sitting out, that would be interesting to see him do that. But then again, as an athlete, you waste those 2 years or whatnot, but he's young. It's a curious, I like the way you put it, my curious case of Ace Bailey. I think this is going to be a saga that we're going to see obviously play out through the summer. And then come the start of the season, it's going to be interesting. I don't know. And it's easy to say this, from afar, but I think if you're an athlete and you're a star, you want to make your mark on a franchise or just like the league, you say, look at Utah and say, man, I don't want to go there. Or hey, make it the place to want to be. You know what I mean? That's what I say. If you're Ace Bailey and you think you don't want to be in Utah, or whatever, go over there and make it what you want it to be. You know what I mean? Go play, go excite people and all that, and
Right.
transform the market. It's kind of like, I remember when Shaq, they were nervous about him going to Orlando, number
Yeah.
one, right? It was, Orlando was, a fairly young team and all this kind of stuff. And of course, we know the story. He ended up in LA. But originally, it was a similar situation where people were kind of nervous and Shaq basically transcended the market and said, I can go to LA or I can go to Orlando and make it something. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Well, I mean, famously, Reggie Miller did not want to go to Indiana, and it became his home.
yeah. Yeah.
Jason Garcia reaches out and says, "Ace is being stupid. If he does that, just play your rookie deal, get better, and move on." There's no such thing as a rookie deal because the rookie deal is 8 years long,
Mhm.
right? It's 2 4-year deals is what your rookie deal is, because
Yeah.
after you play your 4 years, like Wemby doesn't have a rookie deal for 4 years. Wemby has an 8-year deal with the Spurs because you play your first 4 years. After that, you become a restricted free agent, and if you want to be kept, all the original team needs to do is match what you've got going on. That's all you got to do to match it, right? So really, it's 8 years. That'd be him being there from ages 19 to 27, and he does not want to go to Salt Lake City because that's as far away from the East Coast as you can be, right? I mean, just
Yeah.
think about the culture shock that he's going to have
Yeah.
from that.
Yeah.
You look at last year's draft. Zachary Richardsay went number 1 overall to Atlanta. Why did he go number 1 overall? Because Alex Sarr did not work out for the Hawks because he didn't want to go there.
Yeah.
Where did
Right.
he want to go? He wanted to go to Washington.
Yeah.
So now you see, I find this interesting because this is usually done at the top of the draft. Ace
Mhm.
Bailey was number 3 or 4 on most mock drafts going into the out of the combine. So for him to say, well, I don't want to be 3, I'd rather be 5 or 6, it's costing them money, but there's a rhyme and reason behind what they're trying to do. We've
Yeah.
seen this in football. John Elway did this. Eli Manning did this.
Mhm.
So it's not like it's not been done before, but this is weird because he's not trying to tank his stock for 1 spot. He's trying to tank his spot for 3 or 4 or 5 spots.
Mhm.
And to not work
Yeah.
out for anybody
Yeah.
post combine is bizarre.
That's entitled
Yeah.
stuff, man. Because you know what? At the end of the day, any of these guys that are getting drafted in the NBA draft, they should be happy that a team even chose them.
Right.
It takes a lot to get to this level, and not everybody gets selected, even though they put in the same amount of work. You know, so you being selected, that's a blessing, man. You should be.
Yeah.
You should count your blessings and say, you know what? I'm thankful the man upstairs gave me this opportunity because I put in the work and somebody saw something in me. It doesn't matter where you wind up, as long as you're in the NBA. That's something, man. You just shouldn't just say, "Oh, I don't want to go play in Atlanta. Oh, I don't want to go play here." You should be happy that somebody's wanting to pick you and take a chance on you.
But look what
I think
happened to
this
him.
is-
He
Yeah,
played
I
with
think.
fire, and he went to the team with the worst record in the entire NBA, who
Yeah.
missed out on winning in the lottery and got the worst possible situation, which is going number 5. We have a $10 super chat coming on in. If you can drop me out for 2
Here comes
boxes,
the money.
I need
Yeah.
to take this, but take it from here for a minute.
Yeah. I'll go ahead and drop
This
you
is
off
from the
this
Drew
one.
Show. This is from the Drew Show. Ace Bailey can always take his A to Europe and ball there, which is true. Wrong there, THERE. If he don't want to go to Utah, imagine this fool living in Turkey. I don't see the big French, Spanish, or Italian teams taking him. Yeah. Thank you, Drew Show, for the super chat. Basically, he's saying that, hey, Ace Bailey can always go to Europe and play ball over there. That's another thing that's kind of goes under the radar. Man, these guys that go overseas, they make some money. You know what I mean? These guys
They
can
make
make a
some
lot
bank.
of money. Yeah, they could make some money going overseas and playing ball. Yeah, you don't get the same notoriety and all that you do here in the NBA, but I'll tell you, you can make a very comfortable living going playing ball overseas. Now, usually that's kind of set aside for the undrafted guys, right? Or guys that kind of don't have as much notoriety and all that. So a lot of those guys could go overseas and play ball. Yeah, Ace Bailey can do something out of left pocket, like Drew Show is saying, and go play overseas or go do something different. It's just interesting, man. It's I think it's indicative of society now, where young folks, and I don't want to sound like that old guy, screaming at clouds, right? But our youth, and I have a 17-year-old son, you know what I mean, and I talk to him about this stuff. A lot of them are pretty much entitled, that they've came up a different way than a lot of us came up, Joe. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And it's always good, I always say this, like, I don't want my sons to struggle the way I did. I don't want them to struggle. So I was talking about, Mike, how this Ace Bailey situation to me is kind of indicative of like society and our culture nowadays, where our young generation, and again, I'm not trying to be that old fogey, but I have a 17-year-old son, and it's just they're wired differently to where they do want. This is the Instagram era, the YouTube era, the Kim Kardashian era, where everything has to come to you instant.
Right.
If it's not coming to you instantly, then you failed. There's 21-year-olds who think they're failures because they're not living in a nice house, driving the Benz and all, you know what I mean? Like that's what's sad about our generation of youth is they see everything on TikTok and Instagram and everything, where you're basically force feeding them that you're a failure if you're 23 and not making money and not doing this and not doing that and not being flashy, right? And all that. So the what we grew up on, our parents and grandparents, that hard work ethic of, you work hard, you get what you worked for and all that. It's kind of a relic of the past of the way these kids think. So I'm trying to tie that to Ace Bailey, where he thinks that he could just get away with whatever and he's entitled to what he wants.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to come back and bite him. So,
Well, back in the day, though, this was a coach-driven, owner-driven league.
yeah,
And as time went on, it became more and more of a
player driven.
league. So
Yeah.
the player-driven began with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan getting that shoe contract that no one else had ever gotten before. And then that opened the floodgates a little bit. And then really the final nail in the coffin was the antics and the career that was LeBron James. There is more entitlement when it comes to it. There's certain players who don't want to play for certain cities, and I get it because they want to enjoy their life and they want to be part of Miami or New York or
Sure. Who
Chicago,
wouldn't?
which
Who
is
wouldn't?
exactly
Who
because
wouldn't want? Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
I get it.
and you go to some cities out there that don't have much of a African American community, or at
Sure.
least an affluent one, right?
Right.
You could go to Atlanta and have a very affluent African American
Mm-hmm.
community. Lots of Asians and African Americans affluent as well
Mm-hmm.
in Houston, parts of Dallas, things like that. So you have Ace Bailey, who played his hand wrong. He could have gone to Philadelphia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Could have gone to Philadelphia, played with
Yeah,
Embiid,
East
played with
Coast.
Maxey,
East
still be on
Coast
the
where he
East
wants
Coast.
to be. Yeah.
How
yeah.
far is New Jersey from
Oh, hop skipping
Philadelphia?
away.
Right.
Hop skipping away. Yeah.
Now that truck is now
So,
two
Yeah.
what's it called? Time zones over
Time zones. Yeah.
in Salt Lake
Yeah.
City. So I understand him being upset about being picked by them, but hey, what's it called? He after around and found out big time.
Mm-hmm.
Big time.
Yeah, he did it to himself. Like you said, he did it to himself. He could easily went to Philly.
Let's talk about the Spurs. Okay, we have Dylan Harper, we have Carter Bryant. A lot of Spurs fans are very, very, very happy today. Very, very happy this week about who the Spurs got. I'm obviously 100% ecstatic about Dylan Harper. I did not want him traded for Kevin Durant or anything like that. Dylan Harper is the truth, and I don't think Spurs fans understand how good of a player he is. A lot of people are saying, well, he's going to be the sixth man this year. Okay, well, play him starter minutes then.
Mhm.
Okay. Tell everybody, better than Stephon Castle. And Castle's good. That's the positives that we have here. The thing about it, though, is that Carter Bryant, what is he going to be? Is he going to be some guy that just hangs out in Austin all year long because he needs time to cook? He's not ready. Defensively, he's very proficient defensively. Offensively, he can shoot threes. But aside from that, we got Bowen 2.0. We got Danny Green 2.0. Bowen couldn't create a shot to save his life. Danny Green couldn't create a shot to save his life, but they could do the occasional dunk. That's kind of what we got with Carter Bryant. Are you okay with that with the 14th pick in the draft?
I am, honestly. I think a lot was said about that we have too many guards and they need the ball in their hands and all that. Well, now we're talking about a guy who doesn't need the ball in his hand. You know what I'm saying? So we're talking about a guy who doesn't need the ball in his hand. This is what I find it funny because again, like I think this is actually great. A guy that doesn't need the ball in his hand. He doesn't need to create. We have guys to create. We have all the guards. We have the three-headed monster guards of the trifecta, and we were talking about that, Mike, on Twitter. The triad of Castle, Harper and Fox. So those guys can create and do what they got to do. Hey, if Carter Bryant just posts up in the corner, a la Bowen, and sits there and knocks down a three. I mean, hey, that might be that might be very valuable for what we need as the Spurs team. Like again, all those other guards driving and kicking out and doing what they got to do. I think at 4, I think he was again. I remember Carter Bryant's name brought up early in circles, and everyone was talking about him at 14, and then he started getting popped to go into the top 10. So honestly, I thought he was going to be gone sooner than 14. I didn't even think he was going to be there at 14, and a lot of people didn't think that.
What concerns me is that the last time the Spurs took somebody whose draft stock went from nothing to skyrocket was Josh Primo when they took him 12.
Yeah. No.
God. Okay.
Yeah, but I don't. But there's no correlation there, man. Like I understand what you're saying, and you're right. The last thing you want to do, but I feel like this is a little bit different because Josh Primo was like in no one's talks. Like he came out of literally left field. Carter Bryant had already been being talked. Like he was talked about. You know what I mean? He was. So it's not like he was like just no one like was talking about him. I was worried when they were talking about that French Joan Berenger or whatever that guy. And those are that to me kind of reminds me of a Primo situation where no one was talking about him, and all of a sudden at the very end his name started getting brought up and he came 14. So I'm glad that the Spurs didn't go that way. I don't know, man. I'm excited about Brian. I mean, I wouldn't be upset if he goes to Austin and kind of, cuts his teeth a little bit there. I mean, I don't want to. I mean, out of the guys that go to Austin, like Harrison Ingram, Riley Minix, and no offense to those guys, I love those guys. I think he has a higher ceiling and trajectory than those guys. And there's nothing wrong with if he goes to, I know people are going to lose their mind. If he goes to Austin, oh my God, Spurs fans are going to lose their mind. And they're going to be like, how dare we waste a 14 pick on a guy that's going to go to Austin? Which, here's the thing. Spurs fans, Spurs Twitter, whatever you want to call it, they're going to complain about anything. So it doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter. No matter what happens, no matter what RC, like this was an amazing draft for them. I think there's no better draft they could have gotten other than getting Cooper Flag. Like there's no better draft that the Spurs could have gotten, and people are still complaining. People were complaining about the 38th pick yesterday, which was hilarious because
didn't happen.
everybody was saying, or a lot of people were saying, F those picks. We don't want those picks. Those picks suck. They're worthless. And then when they didn't have a second round pick yesterday, people were like, I can't believe they don't have a pick. They should have had a 38th pick. They could have gotten, Rasheer Fleming. Like, come on, man. Come on.
What did they get? What did they get for the 38th pick? They got some cash considerations to help pay for Project Marvel.
Yeah, and another
they got other picks.
Pay for the soda and the vending machine, league. Carter Bryant, if he doesn't work out, if he does not pan out, we're all going to look back at it and go, we took a guy who averaged 19 minutes per game, who was a backup player for an Arizona team that averaged 6 points and 4 rebounds per game. Now, I know that he locks down 1s, 2s, and 3s, so he can guard multiple positions, which is great. But if we look back in time and there's somebody that balls out and picks 15 through 25, 15 through 30, when we look at, they could have drafted Sengun, but they got Primo. They could have gotten Jalen Williams, the next forward drafted after Jeremy Sohan. You can go back in time to Devin Vassell, Tyrese Halliburton. You can go all the way back in time. If someone starts balling out, Carter Bryant just becomes a nobody. We're going to look back and go, okay, his measurables were good. He was 6'7". He has great length, athleticism, all that. But the guy was a backup player for Arizona, man.
You know who else was a backup player too? Jeremy Sohan. So that the Spurs just draft Jeremy Sohan's replacement because Sohan is coming up to a contract year. We see him working out and all that, but at the end of the day, I don't think the Spurs are willing to overpay for Sohan. So I think they might have just drafted his replacement, as some of the people in the chat have alluded to.
Well, I'm looking at Sohan's college stats right now. I appreciate you bringing that up, by the way. He averaged 25 minutes per game, and in college, he only played 40 minutes, right? So he played more than 60% of the game. So even though he was the sixth man on the team, he played starter minutes. Yeah. Carter Bryant averaged 19 minutes per game, less than half the game. So he was maybe the seventh man on the team as opposed to the sixth man on the team. That's what kind of throws me off about it, because it looks like they're drafting off of just sheer potential. Like what's that old phrase that Chuck Mickatinick says at Maximum Sports KBB? You can't teach size. Yeah. It's almost like they're saying you can't teach size, you can't teach that speed, that skill, whatever the case may be. And I just look at it and I go, man, this is the same type of draft that you would get for Trey Lance in the NFL when the Niners got him. You drafted him really high in the first round because he had flashes for a handful of games, but he didn't have the reps that a Joe Burrow had. He didn't have the reps that, another quarterback had. And I'm looking at Carter Bryant, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I'm not going to bag on him yet. I'm hopeful. But, my God, if he doesn't work out, the writing was on the wall big time.
Yeah. And look at this. This is Rick's response to all the Spurs fans that were complaining yesterday at the Spurs giving away their 38th pick.
So we have a $5 super chat coming in from the Drew Show. Money talks, baby.
Money talks. Here comes the money.
Saying, Keldon, we have number 3 and no D. With Keldon, we have no 3 and no D. Sohan, we have no 3 and some D. Devin, we have streaky D and some D. And Hurt. Carter's replacement when they're gone. When they're what, Joe?
What's their name going to be? Gone.
Well, one of them has to be, man. At some point.
And I mean, and Mike, I hear what you're saying, and I know this is what a lot of Spurs fans are echoing. That and again, I'm sure I'm gonna get crap for this, but whatever. When we hear like this Carter Bryant situation, everyone kind of goes to what Mike's saying. Like you're starting off. What if it doesn't pan out? What if it doesn't work out? What if the and all that? And I get that. What if it does? I mean, what if it does? You know what I mean? And so, obviously, the Hindsight's always 2020. That's like one of the biggest cliches anyone can ever say.
That or you don't know.
Lazy to look back and
It's
say, "Oh,
not,
this could
dude.
have
It's
happened, that could have
not.
happened, anything could have happened." Of course, if my grandmother had balls, he'd be my grandfather. Like, of
It's
course
not
we could
lazy.
sit here and say, "Yeah, it is." Of course we could say, "What if this happened?" Because if he does pan out, it's gonna be like, okay, he panned out. If he
Okay, I'm
doesn't,
I'm
it's
gonna tell
gonna
you
be
why
this
some of those.
enormous. It's gonna be this enormous think piece as to why they did wrong. If he does pan out, it's like, well, he was a 13 pick. He could have panned out,
Okay,
and that's it. But if he
I'm gonna tell
doesn't
you
pan
why
out,
it's.
it's
I'm gonna
going to
tell you
be
why it's
this
not lazy.
enormous think piece as to why we didn't go for somebody else.
I'm gonna tell you why it's not lazy for some of these Brian Wright things. Right? Because I know you're saying, oh, well, 12 or 13 or 14, 15 teams
Yeah,
passed on him, right?
yeah,
But of course they were, because they were going to take Carter Bryant over Cooper Flagg. They were going to
yeah.
take Dylan Harper over. So
Sure.
they're slotted in a certain
Okay.
direction.
Nine teams, whatever
At,
you want. Yeah, yeah.
at some point, you're slotted within a tier level, right? So when you look at Josh Primo being drafted over Alperen Şengün, who was the MVP of a Euro League, for crying out loud,
Yeah.
versus a freshman from Alabama,
Sure.
right? That was an issue. When you look at Jalen Williams over Jeremy Sohan, okay, you could say, oh, well, 11 other teams passed up on Jalen Williams. Well, yeah, but the next forward drafted after Sohan, Spurs drafted a forward. The next one drafted was Jalen Williams. So it's the proximity by which those
Mhm.
picks were made, which I think
Yeah.
you can go back and do a little hindsight 2020. We did have a comment here a few minutes ago talking about who the Spurs could have drafted at 38, and they were saying Reynaud,
Yeah.
Mexican Junior. Say Reynaud
Yeah.
could have been perfect at 38, a big man who
Sure.
shoots a three. Wemby's one of Wemby's best friends, and instead the Spurs got cash considerations and said pick. He jokes in the year 2050.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Yeah.
might turn out.
But that's going to be this. If Rain Leonard does something, whatever, it's going to be this big old microcosm of like, oh my god, it's in the grand scheme of things. Like, yes, and I tweeted this. It would have been nice to get that French kid. He seems solid, but is it
Oh
the
man,
end of the world?
we're, we're having some technical difficulties.
Oh wow, people saying we're frozen.
Everybody's frozen and we're twitching,
Yeah.
bro. I don't know what the hell's going on.
Yeah,
right
Hooper
now.
Flash saying Mike talking mid nap is impressive.
It's like I don't know what happened, dude. I think we're gonna have
Are
to
we
start
back
the
on or
stream.
no?
I think
Yeah,
we
we're
might have
on.
to
Well,
start the stream again. We're on, but it's frozen, dude. Like it's the
uh,
weirdest, strangest thing that I've ever seen. Let me see if it's fixed itself, and it has not. I think we're gonna have to start the stream again, man.
Let's see here.
No,
Let me
it's
see.
broken, dude. It's broken.
We broke it.
We broke it.
I don't know. Let's see here. I'm gonna go onto my YouTube and see if I see.
I'm looking at it on YouTube right now.
It says stream still twitching.
The audio is fine. It's the video that just for whatever reason on YouTube.
It's twitching, but is it throbbing?
We're gonna have to end it and then start again, bro.
All right,
I'm gonna
cool.
end the stream. We're gonna go ahead and put up another one. We'll be
And
back
real
here.
fast before you go back in there, I'm gonna save the super chat that we had about Texas State.
Texas State, yeah.
So I'm gonna take a screenshot of that real fast because we promised to go back to that. Sam Salinas, let me. All right, let's go ahead now. Now I'm ready.
All right, we're gonna restart again.